Welcome your host, Caddy Frink, as she leads discussions about substance use disorder and the journey to recovery. You're listening to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution.
Well, hello, everybody out there in Radio Land. My name is Caddy Frink. I'm your host for Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution here on the progressive station AM 950. Who's across the table from me today?
Good afternoon. My name is Kimberlee Lawson. I'm a certified peer recovery specialist with Minnesota Recovery Connection.
Wow, look at Kim. She's just all up on it. I gave her a little hint on what to say. But before we go into who you are and what you do, I forgot to tell you, I'm going to ask you what's right with you today, and then you're going to ask me. So what's right with you today, Kim?
I'm just feeling good about the weather. It's a great day for me. I have a busy schedule today, and that's always good. I'm just feeling good. I'm getting through summer semester at school, so that's what's right with me.
That is very right with you.
Yeah.
Ask me what's right with
what's
me.
right with you, Caddy? I'm sorry.
We're going to get it, people. We're going to get it. I kind of got Kim on the fly, so she's still catching up with me, and I run fast, and she does too. So what's right with me? I can honestly agree. It's the weather. The weather is absolutely fabulous. We have been through a massive heat wave a couple weeks ago. That was enough to drain everybody's soul. And now the weather is really nice. The sleeping weather is gorgeous. You can have the windows open. And I am just feeling optimistic about the future.
Yeah.
Optimistic about the future. And sometimes there's a lot going on, but I just feel optimistic. I think there's just some good stuff happening.
Nice.
Yeah. So Kim said, that I want to remember to do something. We always are. You said that you did a little prayer before we started this, which we all have our mantras and our things that we do. And I have been neglectful on thanking the individual who has been very supportive of this show, who helped Minnesota Recovery Connection out. I'll give the initials. Her name is MK. We'll leave it at that. And that is providing a lot of opportunity for this to continue. So MK,
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
So Kim, you said you're a certified peer recovery specialist with Minnesota Recovery Connection. What is that? What do you do?
I offer recovery services to people in the community. I mainly work with justice impacted individuals. I go into the Anoka County Jail. I provide peer recovery services to men and women on a weekly basis. I also go into a line of behavioral health and do an outreach with their recovery group. I do people call in for services, and we provide services when people call in. So it's a variety of just recovery services, depending on who calls, who needs them, who wants them, and I just
and what they want, right?
And what they want. It's meeting them where they're at in their recovery, and just providing resources for them. And yes.
You were telling me when we were coming here that today you went to the Alina, what was it again?
It was Alina Behavioral Health.
And just to give a little snapshot of this, look at her. If you were watching the video, folks, she just kind of melted in her chair. Tell me what happened, because I think what's important for people to understand, when we have our certified peer recovery specialists go out into community, we get a lot of opportunities to go to different places and spaces. Sometimes people are in treatment. Sometimes people are incarcerated. Sometimes people are walking in, as you said, off the street. But in this case, you went into a treatment program.
Yes.
And so what did this human say to you?
So I went into the group. There were 3 individuals, which is a fairly small group, but it was a very meaningful group today. I came in, and we had a little time before we got started, and we were waiting on one person to come. And so there was one gentleman and I just chatting, waiting for the group to get started. And he says to me, he says, wow, he said, I've been here for 2 weeks, and I've been just feeling some kind of way, but when you walked in today, the energy just shifted. He said, it just feels good in here. He said, you just have a smile on your face. You look like you're so happy to be here. He said, it makes me feel happy to be here. He said, thanks for coming in today. He said, yeah, that just felt like a really good compliment.
Yeah. I mean, and this is what recovery does to us, right,
Yeah.
Kim? This is what we can, even on a worst day, we are better than we certainly were back in the day.
Absolutely.
And so here you're coming to a place where people might not be exactly thrilled to be there,
Yes.
but they're there for a reason, trying to get better, right?
Yes. It was only 3 people, but I'm telling you, it was one of my most meaningful groups that I've done to date.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
they were really engaged, they were asking questions, they were like, "How did you know, that you were ready to stop?"
Mm.
How did you engage in the process of, even finding treatment? Like they just kept asking question after question.
Wow.
So that made it a meaningful group. It's one thing to walk into a room and just talk at people.
Right.
That I don't like that.
No.
I love it when people engage and want to ask questions and pick my brain and
Yeah.
get us talking and make it just a real conversation. And
Yeah.
that's what it felt like today.
Well, and I want to pull out that one thing that you just said, and that is to be a really successful certified peer recovery specialist or recovery coach, however you want to phrase
Mhm.
it. We gotta have that lived experience of
Mhm.
what it was like before,
Mhm.
what it was like in the process, where we are now in our recovery, and then when somebody asks us about that, we get to pull it out of the arsenal. We maybe
Mhm.
gotta go way back in the time
And I
machine.
did.
Yeah. And that's the value of this position,
Yes.
because I think what and anybody who's listened to this show for any length of time, if I wasn't somebody who struggled with alcohol and had a substance use disorder, I don't know that I would be able to identify with somebody that had an addiction, but I can.
Absolutely.
I can.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because you were busy on Tuesday, so I went to the Anoka County Jail.
And thank you
Of
so
course.
much.
I mean, the thing about it is that it really does just float your boat
It
sometimes.
does. It
I had,
does.
to your point, I had 11 men show up, and
Yes.
that's probably more than they're
Yeah.
supposed to. But every single one of them I engaged with. Here I am
Yes.
punching my
Yes.
hand.
Yes.
Every single one I've engaged with, every
Yes.
single one had something that they wanted to ask. I was able to
Yes.
talk about some harm reduction and some of the methods and the importance of being aware of other people, because that's how you can get better.
Yes.
So I had a great conversation with them, and then there was only one woman that I talked to,
Yeah.
but
Such
holy
a
buckets.
such a meaningful I love it.
Oh, I mean, because there's a craving for people who understand what the heck is going on.
Absolutely. And they wanna be not only heard, they felt seen, just they felt listened to, like, they are so appreciative that someone is showing up for them.
Yeah.
And even when I go into the groups where there's 1 and 2 women, it's such an intimate setting where they get you all to their self.
Mhm.
They feel so taken care of for that hour.
And somebody gives a poop.
Yep. Yep.
Somebody gives a poop.
Yes.
Um, we're going to take a break real quick, but I think one of the most interesting things that happened with the young lady that I was talking to was that I said, there's a couple of things you need from this facility, which was an assessment. She needed to be assessed for her substance use disorder. And she says, yeah, I've been asking them all the time. And I said, I'm going to give you a hot tip. I said, be persistent, but be kind on
Mhm.
how you ask. And she kind of tilted her head and looked at me, and I said, given it asking kindly and asking maybe frequently, but being, is it possible that you could help me do this? I talk about the should and the could all the time.
Mhm.
And she looked at me, she goes, I've always had a problem with language and asking things in a way that and I said, I imagine maybe sometimes you can get, based on your lived experience, a little combative and you can be a little bit insistent. I said, you can do that, but you can do it kindly.
Mhm.
Oh, she started taking some notes, honey.
Yes.
And I just thought that was what she needed to hear that day. And
Yes.
that is, she can get what she needs, but if we go at it kind of,
Yes.
pushing,
Yes.
you might not get the response, particularly in a justice impacted environment.
Absolutely. I always tell them you can catch more flies with honey than
Then
with
yeah,
vinegar. Yeah.
be sweet if you
Yeah.
can. When Kim and I come back, we're going to be discussing sort of the relationship between substance use disorder, children when they're involved in that environment, what can we advise you on how to take care of self as well as little people or young people in complicated situations.
Absolutely.
And I just really appreciate you listening to Redefining Recovery, Recovery Revolution here on AM 950, the progressive radio station. Kim, say goodbye to the people, and then we'll say hello.
Goodbye.
And then I will say goodbye, but then we will say hello. So catch back here in a couple minutes, folks. Thank you. We've got some new music here, so I'm kind of waiting for that kind of fun beat to keep popping in here. So last time when Sarah and I were here, Kim, this music just threw us way off because we're still adjusting to it. So welcome to Redefining Recovery, Recovery Revolution here on AM 950. And my name is Caddy Frink. I am your host. And who's across the table?
Kimberlee Lawson.
Woo! Kimberlee Lawson. And you are a what, where?
Certified peer recovery specialist with Minnesota Recovery Connection.
And this whole program is brought to you by Minnesota Recovery Connection. One of the things that Kim and I both have this opportunity to do, and one of the things I've actually talked to Cynthia about, because we are women of a season.
Yes.
We've had a few decades that we have walked through life. How long do you have in recovery?
18 years, 18 plus.
18 plus years.
Yes.
And recovery is always sort of moving and shaking.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me if you agree with this, Kim. When I talk about recovery, to me, there's several stages. When we're in our early recovery, we're clean. When we're in our when we stopped using alcohol and drugs or whatever this stuff might be, the addiction we might carry, we're clean from that. And then I think there's this evolution to, we see that sober world because all those terms are coming in. And then we evolve then to recovery. And I think to me, it's kind of a stages. I know you look at it a little bit differently. And that's why I asked that question, because that's one of the ways that I kind of describe. I've seen people, they live, and there's nothing wrong with any of those phases whatsoever. I just see, because personally, I see it as that I'm now in the phase of recovery.
Absolutely.
I'm in this big phase. I've been without. I've seen sober because that's the world that I lived in with AA and NA.
Yes.
And then I came to this place called Minnesota Recovery Connection,
Yes.
where we talked about this thing called recovery.
Yes.
And I feel like I just kind of made a shift. All of those other things are relevant and are true.
Yes, I was thinking as you were saying it that I think it all applies
Absolutely.
together. Like I consider myself clean, but also in recovery.
Right. right.
At the same time, like it runs parallel.
Yeah.
Like I don't usually use the term sober,
Mhm.
but if someone said, "Are you sober?" I would say, "Yes, I am."
Yeah.
I'm very sober,
yeah.
but it's just not the language I use.
And that's what I wanted to pick up on.
Yes.
We all have our own
Don't-
way of
Yes,
identifying.
it's just different language. I
Yeah.
don't think it necessarily means something different. I think it's just different language.
Yeah. And different communities too.
Yes. Yes.
Definitely communities.
Yes.
I've learned this over all the years that I've been
Yes.
working with this. Different communities use different language.
That's all.
As to your point, it all says the same thing.
Yes.
And I think I just wanted to say that out loud because
Yes.
I know you use the word clean periodically, and I'm
Yes.
like, that just to me, but it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not me.
Yes.
But it's you.
Yes.
And we're all in recovery at Minnesota Recovery
Yes,
Connection.
and I'm in recovery.
Yeah.
I identify as being in recovery all the time.
Yeah.
I love knowing that I'm in recovery. I talked about it in the group today and encouraged them. And these three people wanted to know so much, like, can I get there? And I was like, yes, you can. I said, if I could, you absolutely can. I said, that's why I'm here, to let you know that you absolutely can.
Yeah.
One thing I told them, and just to go back a little bit, is because the one guy who gave me that compliment, he said, this is what I want to do. In 10 years, I want to be doing just what you're doing. And he started rattling off some of the things I said, let me help you with some of that. I said, bring it back here.
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
I said, sometimes if we start thinking way out here, I want to do this, I said, we set ourselves up.
Mm.
We become overwhelmed. We don't accomplish all these things we're saying right now. I said, it's a lot easier to live in these 24 hours that we're in right now.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
much more manageable.
Mhm.
And the girl a young lady, she was just looking at me like, yeah, I think that might work for me, that 24-hour thing,
Yeah.
But it was such a great conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it brings me back to the
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation I had with
Yeah.
a young lady because she had very high expectations of herself. She actually has 6 kids that she hadn't seen for quite a while.
Yeah.
And
That's the same lady I met with last
okay.
week.
And
It
she,
was a good
yeah.
conversation.
And she wanted to do this and she wanted to do this. She wanted to do this and she wanted to do this. And I said, oh, honey, dial it back a
Come
little
back.
bit, bring it in
Yeah.
and set those very manageable goals.
Yeah.
And this goes for anybody walking this planet for all
Yes.
intents purposes, because we can have all these lofty, big ideas of what we want to do. And then if we don't achieve them, sometimes that can throw us right down
Yep.
the rabbit hole.
Absolutely.
And the idea is that, if you've got a goal, set up a realistic plan. And
Yep.
if you're not even sure how to do that, then reach out to somebody. Say, hey,
Absolutely.
I want to do this, but I'm not sure how to get there.
Absolutely.
Great. I know how to do that. So let me dial it back to what we were talking about when we were sort of preparing for the course. Yeah, here we are. Both of us are sort of pseudo teachers and educational kind of people. Kim is like deep into school and just about ready to be done. You know what? Before we go into our topic, what are you working towards with your education and when did you start again? Kind of give people a picture because you have a couple of seasons on you. You are a mature adult.
Mhm. Well, I actually started my education years ago. I started working on my LADC
Licensed drug and alcohol counselor.
licensed drug and alcohol counseling many years ago. And then I dropped out of school when my mother was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
Oh, dear.
And I actually relapsed at the time, and I never went back to school. Even when I got in recovery, stopped using, I still never went back to school.
Just couldn't feel like you could
I
probably
just,
pursue it.
I just couldn't get my head wrapped around it
Yeah.
for some reason. And then I started getting jobs that I was pretty pleased with that were in the field, and I was actually doing where I felt my niche was.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, maybe I don't need to go to school. This is working for me.
Mhm.
And but it was always in the back of my mind, like, you were so close to finishing, you should go back.
Yeah.
And it took me 20 years to get back there, but last year I made the decision to go back, and I'm almost done. I have 4 classes left.
Wow.
So I'll take 2 classes in the fall. I'm in school this summer. I'll take 2 classes in the fall and 2 classes next spring, and I'll be done.
Wow. And that will give you a what?
I will have my bachelor's degree, and I've already taken the exam. I've done everything I need to do. I've done my internship. I've taken the tests. I've done everything. I just need to take these classes and pay for my license.
And you will be a formalized licensed drug and alcohol
absolutely.
counselor. Wow. You should see her. If you can't see her on the video, she's got the shoulders are popping. And it's never too late.
Never.
But you have to give yourself permission to accept the fact that it's never too late.
Absolutely.
And what's interesting about that, and I've never discussed this with you, I learned from Wendy Jones that at the University of Minnesota, you can take classes at the University of Minnesota as a senior for like little to no money.
$20
$20. Yeah. Is that what you're kind of doing?
Yeah.
And
I'm paying for my own education.
Yeah.
I'm paying out of pocket, but this is the first time I've ever been happy to say I'm a senior.
Exactly.
The young lady told me about it. She was, treading lightly with it,
The terminology. Yeah.
She's like, I don't know if you know this, and I'm not sure what your birthday is, and she told me about it. I said, woohoo, let's
roll.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't have any desire to get a degree per se, but I have an opportunity to get education. And I have put that on the back burner since I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
Because I had all kinds of obstacles that were in my way.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like, I can just go and take some classes and be more smarter.
Listen, adult learning is It's awesome because you're studying something you are interested in,
Right.
something you're passionate about.
Mhm.
It's a whole different thing. It's not like high school, you know what I
No.
mean? Where
And early college, I would
right,
imagine,
right.
where you're still
Yeah,
trying
where
to
you're taking
discover.
your generals,
Yeah.
it's stuff you're passionate about,
Yeah.
and they're like, wow. And you're
Yeah.
having these, deep conversations with other learners. And yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's
Okay.
cool.
Now I'm even more invigorated.
Yeah. St. Mary's too.
Oh, really?
They have
Okay.
some good programs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting, see, all I have to do is get somebody who in front of me and we just have these conversations and it's wonderful. So last we met on a conversation that we wanted to bring up, and that is both Kim and I have worked with individuals that have been just as impacted. We are both women that have had trauma in our backgrounds and varying degrees and many different levels. And one of the things that I want people to know about, and I've kind of discussed this before, but Kim has taken a deep dive in this because of her studies, is called adverse childhood experiences. And I'm going to talk about what I know, and then I'd love you to fill in the blanks, Kim.
Absolutely.
And the idea is that when a person is from age 0 to 17, you are a minor. Once you hit 18, you are technically an adult. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they say. The
Right.
infinite they say. And there is this life that happens between 0 and 17 that you are not in control of. Your parents are in control, or your caregivers are in control. And if they're going through hard times, so are you.
Absolutely.
And if we talk about just substance use disorder and incarceration, if you are a child that's living in a home that has either one or maybe both of those, what we need to remember is that the kid is living that. And when you get better, or you get out of incarceration, or you get into recovery or sober or clean, however you want to define it, we cannot forget that what they encountered in that time when you were certainly not at your best or not available, that has an impact on
The
those
child.
children. And a lot of times I think systems and spaces and places say, well, if you're better now,
Yes.
then everything should be
Should be
okay.
just fine.
But we got to remember those, myself included. I had parents that I didn't, until I was a big adult, I had larger traumas, but I had fair amounts of what you would call little traumas, little T's, they call them. There's big T's and little T's. And as a young person, I didn't have neglect in the sense that I didn't have a place to live and I didn't have food, but I didn't always have the best environment I was in. I didn't have a lot of support. I was an only child with a mother that had mental health issues and a father who kind of liked doing his own thing and was married a few times. And I was sort of like, I was important, but didn't feel focused on. So I reached out to all my friends. I had
Mhm,
a litany of friends, and that's how I survived. But there was a lot missing.
mhm,
And so as I grew up, I would capture people and I would lean into them. And that was my codependency coming out from a lack
mhm,
of what I had as a child,
mhm.
because I needed that stuff. So, Kim, talk to us about what you know about childhood experiences. You just said you went through some real big courses on it, and helping people who are listening, who this is like a brand new topic.
Mhm, mhm,
We're like,
mhm,
cutting it right open. What
mhm.
comes to mind?
Excuse me. Well, what I thought about when you were talking is that, um, well, looking at the ACEs study, what they have determined is that the more markers that a child has, the more affected they are. So let's say between the ages of 0 and 5, let's say they had a parent leave the home and go to prison. They had they moved around a lot. They had a death in the family, a significant family. The more markers that they can say happened to this child between the ages of 0 and 5, the more that they consider that they will have long term effects,
Higher risks
higher risks
going forward.
going forward. And they go as far as to say health conditions
Mm.
like serious health conditions, heart conditions, diabetes, and it's in a study that
Mhm,
it's like proven. They
mhm.
it's like in black and white. And so when you think about it, when I first read the study, I was like, how come all the teachers aren't look, how come everybody isn't working off out of this kit?
Right, right.
The teachers and child protection and the police and every community person everywhere. How come we all aren't working out of this kit? How come everybody this should be like we all should be
Like right up on it.
how
I
come
mean,
we're not talking about
it
why did I stumble across this? How come I didn't already know about this?
when you say that, it
Yeah.
makes me think it's like when a kiddo or even a young person, maybe they've been, when you said moved around a lot, I mean, I think we moved around 6 times by the
Oh,
time I
God.
was in
I moved my
fifth.
kids. Listen, when I read this study, I was like,
Yeah, I didn't even.
I moved a lot when I was in that, and at the time, it didn't even seem like it.
It
But
was
when
just
I
your life. You're living your
yes,
life. Yeah.
yes,
I mean, I
yes.
went to like 6 different schools
Yeah,
over the course of time.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
I remember my son at the age of 10, like falling out, and I'd never really even seen him cry, like falling out, just bawling. And I was like, what? And we were moving into a house. I was so excited. We finally were going to live in a house.
Yeah.
He said, I don't want to make new friends. And he was just bawling. And I was like,
Oh,
that's the first time like I really knew how the choices I was making was affecting my children.
yeah.
And yeah, that was the first time I
That's
took a look
in
at that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And wow. You just kind of blew my brain open there with talking about the schools and the neighborhoods, because you're right.
Yes.
I had to constantly make new friends.
Yes. Yes.
And so there's like a little bit of an abandonment there.
Yes.
You just made me think about a personal situation right now that I've got that,
Yeah, I
when
was thinking when you said it about the big T's and little T's,
Mhm.
some of those little T's are big T's. Like we wanna call them little T's,
Mhm.
but in all actually, they affect everyone differently, and
Exactly.
they pile up.
That's the thing we
Like, they
talked about.
pile up. And then, like the situation I was sharing with you on the way over, the parent can get theirself together, get into recovery, start, living a productive life, but the child's trauma is not it's not over.
It still lives there.
The child still has the trauma.
And that's the thing. I mean, and I want to be perfectly clear. Anybody that has found recovery as an adult and has children's, good on
Abs
you.
absolutely.
We are so proud. We are so happy. We
Absolutely,
are
we
we
are.
are just through the roof, to the moon.
Absolutely.
And then make sure that the kiddos that you might have in your life are getting the help they need, because your being better doesn't necessarily make them better.
And what I would say, yeah, is pay attention to your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like really pay attention, because sometimes we expect, okay, you expect them to just come along.
Yeah,
Like,
come on the ride with
come
me. I'm
on,
doing
this
great.
is what I'm doing. Let's go.
Mhm,
And pay attention if that's not the case. Don't get upset. Don't take it personal.
mhm.
Don't take it personal. Like, don't take it
You
personal.
should be happy for me. You should be.
Yes,
You should
yes,
be.
because
You should
sometimes
be.
that's what happens. We want kudos. We want, a parade, march down Main Street because we're finally doing what we should be doing.
Right.
But pay attention to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because wow, and I've told this story before, but this was an interesting experience I had. I was at one of the prisons, and I had one of the guys who was in my class, good human, come up to me. He's like, Caddy, I got a question. And if anybody's heard this story before, I apologize. But to me, I think it was really telling. He came up and he says, I'm really kind of confused with my daughter. And she's, I don't know, maybe 16, 17 years old. She's just not as pleased with how I'm doing as I think I am. And I looked at him and I said, darling, I am so glad you're in this class. You're doing well. But I said, you're in here.
Right.
You're not out there with her. And what got you in here might have had an effect on her. So her enthusiasm for you might not be quite so high.
Right.
And he looked at me like, oh, heaven's sakes, I hadn't
Right.
thought about it
Like
that way.
Yes.
And it's like, to your point, Kim, which is so
Yeah.
good. Listen, watch your kids. If
Yes,
you
pay
have
attention to
struggled, if you have not, maybe you are not a person that actually struggled with alcohol or drugs and you haven't been to prison, but around you there has been this kind of
Yes.
activity, or there has been domestic abuse or
Yes.
violence,
Yes.
or you live in community that has a lot of troubles. This all has an effect.
It absolutely does. It absolutely, if it, some of the markers are poor schools, excuse me, poor schools in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Do you live in a neighborhood that has enough?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Are there enough resources where you're from?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different markers in that study that make up the adverse childhood experiences.
Right.
It's not just abuse, direct physical abuse or violence, or there's a
It's
lot
a
of
lot of
different
different things.
markers that
Yeah.
make up what could affect a child in the long term.
And I think that's a really good point. And that is, if anybody is hearing this and they're like, well, I hadn't really thought about what happened in the hood could have an effect. Be a really good, smart caretaker of a child, or even of your grown child. If your grown child is struggling, what I say about ACEs when I talk about it with the students that I teach and the wonderful people who want to help people, I say the ACEs, I'll call it a score. You calling it, what did you call it? The markers. I like that better. The ACEs, adverse childhood experience markers. What needs to be said is that if your child is then moving on to using substances or having bad activities, if you can take a look back in time and say, "Ooh, that marker, that marker, that marker," it is not
give them some grace.
Give yourself some grace,
Yep,
the child
yep,
some grace.
yep.
And then also, it's not an excuse of what's going on with your kid.
Yes.
It's an explanation.
Absolutely.
And I have said that more times, and people just kind of, again, sort of turn their head to the side and go, because our behavior is something that sometimes we have chosen or it's come upon us, but we don't even know why. So we can't excuse somebody's behavior, because if they have bad actions, sometimes they have to pay, air quotes, pay the price.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, there could be an explanation to why that happened. And this is where I think as a society, as a really big society, we need to, rather than cast shame on people that are in trouble, we need to say, what could have happened? And that's one of the things we talk about in class. It's not what's wrong with somebody. It's like, what could have happened?
Absolutely. I ask women, the women that I work with, excuse me, especially when I was working at Hard House, I asked, not what did you do? I always ask, what happened to you?
Yeah.
Or I ask them, has anyone ever asked you what happened to you?
Yeah.
And I remember even like taking like a survey, like unspoken survey, but just purposely being real intentional and asking. I was wondering, like, has anyone ever asked them?
Yeah.
What happened to them?
Yeah. And I think the follow-up question to that, when we're working with people who are struggling with substance use disorder and addiction, and that is, has anybody ever asked you what you want to see in recovery?
Absolutely.
What your vision of your recovery looks like?
Absolutely.
It's like usually they're told what to do, when to do, where to do it, how to do it. But that's really one of the key components to doing really effective peer recovery services. It's like, hey, what does your recovery look like?
Absolutely.
Because I'm not going to tell you. I got a whole lot of ideas. I got a whole ton of resources, but this is your journey, not mine.
I let them know that's the exciting thing about working at MRC. We're not an organization that says, do it at this time, do it like this, do it this many times. We asked you, what does it look like to you? How can I support you? Where can we meet? What is your vision for your life? And how can I help? Yes.
And because all of us have been on a journey of recovery, or clean or sober, whatever your journey looks like, when somebody has been successful in their recovery journey, we've all got these talking points that are super helpful for people if it's potentially important to somebody else. But then I always say, and you've heard me say it a million times, and that is, we got to listen more and talk less, because my journey is not your journey. It's a journey, But I have had this lived experience that is, and I say this, Kim and I are of similar age.
Mhm.
What we found is that our substance that we used back in the day was very different. And then we had some commonalities.
Mhm.
She's had children. I have not. But we can sit here across the table and have this deep eye thing going on about, oh, girl, I get you. Yeah, I got you. I
Yeah.
got you. I get you. I don't have the same experiences, but I have mine that can relate in one way, shape, or form. And that is the beauty of the work that we do.
Mhm.
Doesn't have to be the same story. It doesn't have to be from the same community. We don't
Absolutely.
have to share the same culture, but man, we got one thing in common, and that's addiction. And we both kicked its thing.
That's funny. That's exactly what I told them in the group today.
So when we come back for our last little bit, I don't know where we're going to go with this
Yeah.
conversation because there's a richness going on here.
Yeah.
I see this lady across from me. Her eyes are getting like relaxed and she's like getting into it. So I want you to think about the things that we've talked about. How we can help people means that we listen to them. How we can help people is understand what has happened to them and that has an impact on where they are today. So thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution here on AM 950. I've got Kim Lawson across the table from me. When we come back from break, we're going to kind of conclude this conversation a little bit, kind of come up with something that's going to close it out with some optimism. So thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the other side. Bye-bye. Digging that beat. Love that beat. Welcome back. Welcome back to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution here on AM 950. Who am I across the table from?
Kimberlee Lawson.
Kimberlee Lawson, and my name is Caddy Frink. I think I said that. I think I did. I don't know if I did or not. There's a richness in this conversation because when we've lived a little while, we can look back on the time machine and say, huh. And I am I don't know if I can be proud, but I'm so enthusiastic about you getting your continuing education. It's been remarkable to watch over the last couple, 2-3 years. But what I'm taking away is that it's never too late. And then you can always look at education in different ways.
Absolutely.
And when we become more smarter, what happens is that we get to carry that richness to our community.
Yes.
And when we can carry richness and ideas and perspectives and viewpoints to people, it helps them. And I was thinking back to when I was in Anoka jail on Tuesday and sitting around this table with these 11 men to see their engagement because I wasn't talking at them. I kept asking individual questions. I'm like, tell me not why you're here. Don't really care why you're here.
Yeah.
Because that's none of my business.
Right.
But I'm curious if there was a substance involved with what got you here, because that's kind of why I'm here. But what did that look like? And people are like, well, really, you're kind of there. Like, you ask me like a very important question, but you're not interrogating me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying I'm kind of curious because I want to know how you can help yourself and maybe help somebody else. And that is the dream of this entire show is can we take this experience that we've had and all the people that we've encountered and say, it's all about community.
Yes.
It's all about how do we help community? How do we bring strength and hope and beauty and love and all of our differences are incredibly important, but where are the similarities versus, this pushback. And because my world and your world is all recovery, it's easy for me to say that, but people who are listening, it's kind of hard because we live in a very tense world right now.
Contentious.
Very good world. And how do we understand the contention, but then don't take it out to our day in and day out life?
Yes.
How do you do that, Kim?
I was just talking about it in the group today, that one of the gifts of my recovery has been becoming just open-minded,
Mm,
willing, willing to listen, the gift of diversity,
mm,
the gift of realizing that this disease of addiction that I have is no respecter of persons. It didn't care how much money I had, what degree I had, who my friends were, none of that.
no.
And so my recovery is all about not caring about how much money someone has, what their degree is, what color they are, what their ethnic background is. I've always just appreciated the richness that all the different perspectives bring.
Mhm,
Um, and I just consider it just a real gift to just be open to people.
mhm,
Just being open. I don't have to think the same as you to respect you, or to even love you.
mhm,
It's been a real gift in my life. I've been able to be around so many different people. I've been to
mhm,
so many different conventions. I went to the World Convention of Narcotics Anonymous in
mm,
Florida, and there just to see so many different people from around the world that were there for their recovery.
right.
All I did was weep for like the whole time. There was this guy playing a bagpipe
Oh,
and
wow.
his music just filled the air, and I just cried and cried. So this is just so beautiful. Like,
Well, all
it
that humanity.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's a beautiful thing.
Wow, it's a beautiful thing, she says. Well, and I think, when we're trying to support people who are in their worst day,
Mhm,
um, we we need to, like, think about you're somebody's loved one.
mhm,
You might have loved ones. You We are all part of a greater community, even if we're broken and we are absolutely all of our community has just been devastated because of our actions.
mhm,
We sometimes can still be part of a community. I think
mhm,
about the young man that I kind of nudged on the street the other day because he was passed out and I was concerned about him. And I saw a little group of humans off to the side who, um, nobody was from the same cultural group, nobody was the same ethnicity, but they had formed, good or bad, their own little community over there. They were
mhm,
all just kind of huddling around. I don't know what they were doing. I could probably take a good guess what they were doing. But you know what? They probably are going to look out for one another
mhm,
because that's what mattered to them.
mhm,
Even if one is because somebody can get something that they want, they're still going to make sure that that person hopefully is still around. So community can look very different from
mhm,
like where you come from, where your high school you went to,
mhm,
where you went to college, what neighborhood you live in. Community is about all of us.
mhm.
And to your point, Kim, the idea that it it doesn't matter, but it all matters.
Absolutely,
Yeah, it doesn't matter why we're sitting at this table, but I wanna know who you are because you matter,
absolutely.
and that's where the richness is. I don't know if you went out on Tuesday night for National Night Out, if your neighborhood did that or not?
No, what did we do? I think I was doing homework.
Okay, well, good for
And I
you.
was in court all day Tuesday,
That's
so
right,
I was
Tuesday.
exhausted.
Yeah. So it was National Night Out, and so, in all through this country, because that's a national thing,
Yeah.
we went out, I ran to a store and got some desserts 'cause
Mm,
I was working myself,
yeah.
and community got together.
Yes.
And they're, little posses kind of formed their little groups, like the little parenting group was over here and the
Yeah.
more mature groups were here.
Yeah.
Then there's just some random folks that I just sort of came together with.
Yeah.
But what happens is that if you get together with community, I mean, I learned something very interesting about the roof that I need to get. I mean, who would have thought I was out on the street and we start talking about roofs?
Right.
But it's something I have to like. But these are the kind of things that can come up if you just sit and talk to people
Right.
or stand and talk to people, share food because there was
Yeah.
food there. I nibbled a little bit.
I did get out on Saturday,
Oh,
to the Rondo,
oh, that's
block
right.
party in St. Paul. It was huge. It was a very short area, a small area, just a couple blocks, but there were so many people. There was
Oh,
music and food and, kids and everybody and snow cones and this food and that kind of food, and it was so fun.
it was
It was
community.
and there was, like, health and wellness, tables,
Mm.
and there was yeah, it was community.
It was
It was
community.
great, yes.
And that's, we're at this,
Yeah,
contentious spot
yeah,
right now where we have to see people for who people are,
yeah,
not how we have been eyeballing people and not
Yes.
seeing people for their content.
Yes.
Martin Luther King, see people for their content or their character,
Yeah.
not other things.
Yeah.
Other things are important so that you can understand folks. Our neighbor who lives across the street, who had gotten picked up by ICE in the middle of the winter, she was there, and it was interesting. She had her car broken into, and a window was broken. And I said, I hope she reported it. And one of my neighbors says, she's not gonna, because that could be a trigger point for something happening. And I'm like,
Yep.
you're right. I need to think about that. I'm looking at it from my, privileged white seat.
Yeah.
Got to report that.
Yeah.
She's like, no, that might not be her best thing. No, she should be in this country. So don't misunderstand me. But because she was brown and she was Latina, she got picked up. So community is important. That's what it comes down to. And that's what the Minnesota Recovery Connection does, is build community. We help people. We want to serve people. We advocate for people. We give people opportunities to be the best person that they want to be.
Absolutely.
So Kim, what's a parting word? A parting thought?
Just be kind.
Be kind.
It's very simple, but I mean it.
Yeah.
I tell people, just be kind.
Be kind.
Be kind.
Be kind to...
I'm going to say this because you never know what somebody's going through.
Never. Oh,
you never know what somebody's going through.
You never know what somebody's going through. So be kind. Don't judge.
Yeah.
Be a good human as best you can. Yeah. Sometimes we can't fix a problem, but we can just say, I'm sending you some good vibes.
Absolutely.
And that's what you need. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you, Kim. Say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution here on AM 950, the progressive radio station. My name is Caddy Frink, and I'm always grateful to be available for you. So thank you.